second graders, today we're doing lesson 8, writing a lead. I can revise the lead of my story. So we're going to start by looking at a sample lead. It says writing lead at the top and it's page 11. Once upon a time, there were two girls who lived next door to each other. You may have heard of the first one. Her name was Cinderella. Poor Cinderella was forced to work from morning till night, cooking and scrubbing pots and pans and picking up after her cruel stepmother and wicked stepsisters. When her work was done, she sat among the cinders to keep warm, thinking about all her troubles. Cinderella, the other girl, was also forced to work for her wicked stepmother and stepsisters, but she sang and whistled while she worked. Moreover, she had learned a thing or two from doing all that housework, such as how to make tuna casserole 16 different ways and how to get spots off everything from rugs to ladybugs. So this sample lead is from Cinderella, and it starts out by describing two of the main characters, Cinderella and Cinderella. So that's one option for a lead. Now I'm going to work on writing some sample leads. So one way you could start your story is with a sound. So I'm thinking in my story that the sound could be the sound of the wind, because my story takes place in the Arctic and it's very cold and the wind might be whistling through the air. So to me, maybe a sound that the wind might make would be whoosh. So I'm going to write whoosh. The wind blew through the icy winter air. Next, I'm going to think of a question I could use to start my story. Well, my story, part of it is about an ice skating competition, so I could bring that up. So maybe I could say, have you ever seen an ice skating competition? This is the story of a young Arctic fox who loves to ice skate. I could start my story with an action like walking or running or sitting. So maybe I would write something like a fluffy Arctic fox sat at the opening of his den, looking out at the icy landscape. So the actions are he's sitting, that's an action, and he's looking. Snow started to fall gently, covering the mountains with a fresh white coat of snow. Okay, I could start my story with dialogue, which means talking. So maybe Snowball would say something like he wants to go ice skating today. I should go ice skating today. Snowball. The Arctic fox declared. And then there's the option of other. And I'm not going to write one here, but this is, if you have an idea for a lead that doesn't fit in the other categories, it could go here. For example, you could do a lead like Cinderella, where it's a description of the characters in your story. The next step is revising the lead in my story. So I look back at my story and see which of my leads I like the best. So I open to the first page of my story and look at my current lead. So right now I wrote, once upon a time there was an Arctic fox named Snowball. So I'm going to get rid of that and choose the lead that I like the best. I think I like this one that's in action. So I'm going to copy this lead down instead. So I'll put an arrow to right here because this is where it will go. And I'm going to revise my lead right here in this column. Okay. A fluffy Arctic fox sat at the opening of his den, looking out at the icy landscape. Snow started to fall gently, covering the mountains with a fresh white coat of snow. So now I'm going to read my new lead. Okay. A fluffy Arctic fox sat at the opening of his den, looking out at the icy landscape. Snow started to fall gently, covering the mountains with a fresh white coat of snow. It seems like a perfect day to go ice skating. Instead of he thought, I think I need to change that to say snowball so it makes sense. Snowball thought. Snowball raced inside to grab his ice skates. So I'm really happy with my lead now. Now that I've revised my lead, I need to continue working on my story. So I actually worked on it on my own so that I wouldn't have to write in front of you. So this is the last part I wrote in front of you. Snowball raced out of the den. And then this is the part that I continued to write on my own. And I'm actually going to show you the story arc to show you where I left off. Okay. So I wrote about how Snowball goes ice skating, and then I was going to write about how Snowball gathers food. James and Kevin are mean to him. Oliver is kind. So I wrote that. I'll read that to you. And then a letter arrives inviting them to an ice skating competition Snowball decides to enter. So those are the parts that I wrote not in front of you. So I'm going to read those. He spotted a polar bear ahead. The polar bear had just finished a meal. He asked for it. I'm going to make it more clear and change it to say Snowball asked for the leftovers. Snowball asked for the leftovers, and the polar bear told him he could take them. Snowball grabbed the scraps and raced back to his den. "Ew!" Kevin Snowball's stepbrother shouted as Snowball entered the den. "Who would ever want these disgusting leftovers?" "It's all I could find," Snowball said. "It's winter and food is scarce." "It looks good to me," Snowball's stepbrother Oliver said with a kind smile. "Thanks for getting it." Snowball eyed a shimmering silver envelope on the table. What's that? Snowball asked. None of your business, growled James as he snatched the letter away. James turned toward Oliver and Kevin. Are either of you interested in this ice skating competition? First prize is $10,000, second prize is $5,000, and third prize is $2,500, he said. I am, Kevin shouted. I don't think so, Oliver said. Hey, Snowball, you should do it. You're an amazing ice skater. I'd love to, Snowball blurted out. James glared at him and grumbled, like you have any chance of winning. Snowball curled up on his bed. He looked at the photo of his mom and her ice skating team and thought back to the night she disappeared. There was a brutal storm. Snowball was too afraid to fetch dinner, so his mom went instead. A kind polar bear came to their house the next day to tell them that he had found her frozen under some snow. I'm going to win this for you, Mom, Snowball whispered. So in this part of the story, I had the invitation come, and then I gave a little bit of background about how Snowball lost his mother, similar to how in the original Cinderella loses her mother. So second graders, what I would like you to do is one, I want you to write 4 sample leads. So you can choose which of the 4 that you do. I'm going to the sample lead stage. Okay, so you choose 4. I did sound, question, action, dialogue, but you could do sound, question, action, and other. It's totally up to you. So 4 sample leads. Then I want you to revise the lead of your story, and then finally I want you to continue writing for 10 minutes.